Is this motherfucker drunk driving a dragon? What the fuck? There are times in a show or a movie where you sense a character's presence within the scene. Some might call it aura, but regardless, it's the characters that command a certain amount of attention because of the power they hold and the question of what they might do with it. When it comes to House of the Dragon, I immediately thought that this would be Prince Daemon, the character played by Matt Smith. For one, he is one of my favorite actors, and two, because of his positioning after the throne. He's the brother who couldn't be king even though he believed he was the most fit for it. And though the aura was undeniable and definitely lived up to my expectations, somebody else has exploded onto the screen. And I'm not talking about... Ooh, too soon? Too soon. My bad. I'm talking about Aemond Targaryen, not to be confused with Aemond Targaryen from Game of Thrones. You know what, Allison? Names could be confusing. I forget.
Psych!
How do you confuse Aegon and Aegon the Conqueror? Like, come on. Anyways, Aemond is really starting to stand out to me, when originally he just gave me younger Daemon vibes. Like, these dudes he related in real life. But there's this level of subtle facial expressions that has given this character an immense amount of depth through only 2 seasons. I had recently made a video about the boys and the star of the show and Homelander, and how he's unapologetic and a captivating villain. In the video, I recommended that more shows should follow this formula for a bad guy, rather than one who has a long-winded backstory to make them seem misunderstood. It's nice to see someone who is evil without asking for remorse. Someone who we understand has gone through things but have no idea what's going on in their current mind. It makes them 10 times more unpredictable and raises the stakes of the show instantly. Aemond is the perfect example. We witnessed his youth where he gets picked on, clearly abused, and proceeds to pick on others. Then he loses an eye and soon enough there's a time skip. None of his younger self is dragged on as a tragic character. In fact, it was almost the opposite. He deserved to lose the eye after hitting those girls, and I didn't have much sympathy for him. But as he aged, he changed. Unlike the younger Aemond, he's more skilled at the sword, intelligent, and tactical as a future king should be. Though he holds a bit of spite, undeniably, and also gets picked on, he becomes this complex character through subtlety. From the ending of Season 1 to this rave of an Episode 4 in Season 2, we see the capabilities of Aemond and the unexpected route that he's taking. Now, I haven't read the books because I'm lazy, but I have found out that Aemond kills Luceryn purposely and viciously in the text as revenge for his eye. But in the show, as we all saw in Season 1, there's this moment of regret and hesitation after Vhagar tears through Luke. It was clearly not Aemond's purpose to kill him, but as the show constantly reminds us, involving dragons within a war will lead to some really chaotic moments. But besides that reminder, there's something subtle about Ewan's facial expressions that makes you think. We could tell that something was clearly wrong. But as time goes on, he begins to own it, and by episode 4 of season 2, we really see what he's become. As he burns the Nosabo drunk kid to a crisp, who may or may not be alive, there's a certain sense of resolve on his face. And this is how you create an identity. And with obviously high expectations from Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon had a lot to live up to. In my eyes, characters like these who developed in a short amount of time are creating that identity that separates it. A character that fell into his place purely out of his birthright has now taken advantage of his position and his OP-ass dragon. He learned from his experience and with time is learning how to gain power. With only 2 seasons, let alone 2 scenes, they have already fleshed out a character to a certain degree. And the subtleties just continue as we see him towards the end of the episode pick up the blade that maybe he planned to end his brother's life or maybe not. There's no way of really knowing, but we do know that Aemond is moving up in the ranks even if Aegon is alive. This is a clear moment for him to step up and become the king that should be rather than the throne that was forced upon his brother Aegon. And if Aegon is still alive, then there's plenty of paths that he could go down.
Anakin's gone. I am what remains.
But this buildup of subtle hesitation to a more determined attack has given this character an immense amount of depth, and something that's not sold to him but others as well. As this episode showed, characters like Rhaenys. She was one of the only characters to stand their ground after a clear act of treason. She stood by Rhaenyra because she knows herself that one queen put to the side was more than enough. And though she certainly could have wiped them out earlier, which she should have, her right to be queen was only further proved, and just just like Daenerys showed in Game of Thrones, denying someone their right to rule because of gender is immensely stupid. Rhaenys in her somewhat short amount of time has made a great case for someone who deserved power, a veteran warrior who put herself and her dragon on the line. Though I joked about it, it was one of the most tragic deaths in the show, but she died a martyr and will easily be remembered so. I just hope this gives Rhaenyra the resolve that she needs to fight back in war and take control along Daemon's side. And Corlys, man, if you don't tee up after this episode, like, that's your wife, bro. Like, please go find Rhaenys. I don't, where is he?
If any of you need anything at all, too bad. Deal with your problems yourselves like adults.
This constant fight for the throne over some false sense of power continues to show us that it is a losing battle. As Daemon says, it's a chair made up of swords and not much more, though even he fails to realize that. A leader is not one who constantly claims to be, and that was said in Game of Thrones, but clearly continues in House of the Dragon. As much as I don't really like Alicent, I can't lie, I was cold when she asked Aegon to do as he's asked, which is simply nothing. I'm glad that they aren't trying too hard to make it different from Game of Thrones, because politics is what made the show so interesting in the first place. A battle for this seat led to constant questions of who, what, and why they should be ruling. And that's the same exact thing now as we follow Team Black and Team Green. What team am I on? Shoot, I'm on the dragon side, man. Like, end the war, please. This hashtag save the dragons. PETA, do your thing. My main complaint about the show right now is the state of Rhaenyra, though I think she'll change soon anyway. I was just annoyed by her switch up from season 1's ending where she was ready for war because they killed her son, to now sneaking in and asking Alicent for peace. Which, I get it, it's good as a leader to vie for peace, but honestly I'd rather her just go in headstrong, which I think is what's about to happen anyway, so from here on I should barely have any complaints. And I also did see some people complaining about Alicent confusing the names, but honestly Otto would have made Aegon king anyway, so it doesn't really matter what Alicent believes. That was just a stupid misunderstanding, I guess. Regardless, this show has been really good so far, and I think episode 4 showed the potential that it has. Great characters like Rhaenys and Aemond going at it shows the amount of other characters that can fight and show an equally if not better battle. So I have high hopes for the future. Hopefully it doesn't pull a Game of Thrones season 8. And yeah, I'll keep watching. So if you haven't checked it out for some reason, you should definitely check it out. It's worth it. And honestly, you don't need to know about Game of Thrones because this takes place like 200 years before it or something. So yeah, highly recommend. Go check that out. And thank you to anyone who made it this far. So that pretty much wraps it up for the video. Thank you guys to anyone who made it this far. If you're new here, I do these outros for every video just to keep track of where I'm at, give you a couple of updates. First of all, thank you so much to anyone who supported my last video. That is now my most viewed video on the channel, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, thank you for that. And I'm really glad it did well because I want to expand my type of content. Don't worry, the anime will still be here, still be around. I'm not gonna just stop making anime videos, but I want to expand into, you know, regular TV shows and movies even, because I want to make video essays that talk about things that aren't necessarily being talked about, right? So my focus in this video, not to say I'm the only one, but I want to make it somewhat original, and my focus on this video was the difference between that first season with Aemond and the current episode, or episode 4 that we just watched. And that slight difference made him that much deeper of a character. And the thing is, I feel like I was a little incoherent in this video, which I really apologize for, and it's why I kept saying Rhaenys probably instead of Rhaenys. But I could have made this video about so many of the characters. Like, I'm really enjoying this show and they're doing so well from season 1. I think that Paddy Constantine is a breakout star, and Millie Alcock is amazing. I'm so glad she came back in this episode, and I hope they keep doing that somehow because she was really, really good as Rhaenyra, and it hurt me when she left the show, or, you know, when they did the recast. But I think the recast are really great too. Emma D'Arcy and whoever was also recast, you know, sorry I'm not great with names as you could tell, but I'm really enjoying House of the Dragon, and I just wanted to thank you guys again because I want to make somewhat original content, and I think that having an option, you know, not just sticking to anime and not just sticking to TV shows or movies is going to help really talk about what I want. So if you have any future ideas, please leave it down in the comments below. I have a couple of ideas. I definitely want to talk about Demon Slayer. That last episode was, oh my god, it might have been anime episode of the year, but that was amazing. I want to talk about the bear. I know there's mixed opinions. I don't know if any of you guys are watching it, but I enjoyed it, though I have some comments I would also make, and this overall feeling of the bear that I want to talk about. So those two are in my mind, but yeah, if you have any ideas, obviously I do want to keep still with the algorithm because I'm trying to grow my channel, so that's why I'm talking about relatively new stuff like House of the Dragon, The Boys, and etc. But you know, regardless, I have a list, so if you want to be added to the list for whatever show or movie that you like, please leave that down below. And thank you guys for watching, and I might see you in the next one.
I've survived many a battle. I do not mean to be felled by poison peas.
Here, drink this.